Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Past Life. And I'm not really a fan of what happened in this episode. Granted, the biggest issue is that we find out that we have to wait 4 weeks for the continuation, which kind of is crazy because I thought the whole reason we were beginning in December was to avoid hiatuses like this. I know it's the Olympics, but I'm going, okay, you've left us on this cliffhanger, and now we've got to wait 4 weeks. Alright. But there are issues that start occurring throughout this episode that it wasn't completely bad, but once you start getting into the time-traveling aspects of it, it just kind of goes kind of crazy. And I don't like what they did with Cassius. Now, granted, I liked where they were going in the beginning, but as we go through the episode, you're going, oh god. So, one of the first things that happens is we get that the Zephyr 1 lands at the lighthouse. But while this is going on, I'm thinking, okay, modifications have been done to kind of make the Zephyr space capable. Thrusters, I get. When did it become vacuum sealed? Because if it had happened at any point while it was on the surface, I think that it would have been shot to shit by now at this point. Because that thing was on there for 80 years. I don't even think it was enough. I don't even think it would have been stable enough to get through a regular atmosphere because of degradation and holes that could be going through, unless by some act of miracle it was made out of vibranium or adamantium, which that could potentially be, but if it's not shown and it's not told, you gotta go with what you're given. And I was just going, as they were going in to land, I'm going, when did this thing become space-worthy? But, okay, we get in and we see that the Kree are trying to find him in there, and nobody's in there, except for Enoch popping his way out because he hit himself behind like all this stuff because they needed somebody in there for the machine and the other monolith part. So our team's pretty much going in to hook up with Flint and to rescue other Inhumans. And while they're going off to do that, we see that Cassius has essentially had a complete and utter mental break, which I like. He's talking to Sonara's corpse as if it is still alive. He tries to get a doctor to do the same process that goes on in humans. Humans to bring them back to life on her, but he goes, well, their biology is more simple than ours. I don't think it'll work with her. Then, of course, he goes, why don't you study the condition more closely, and then uses a revolver and kills him. And it was just really hammy and really cheesy. Now, granted, it kind of goes along with his mental break, but I'm going, come on, you could have just... The line could have been written or done in a way that was better than what it did, because I understand what they were going for, but it just was kind of like, I saw it coming a mile off. He's going, my lord, I can't do this. And he goes, why don't you study it closer? And kills him. Okay, you see that going a mile away. So, he brings up other kind of things that were going on that he has knowledge of. He brings up his father, saying that he wanted the Earth, that it was a hidden blue gem, and that he had a confederacy around him that wanted Earth. So even his father was kind of a splinter faction of the Kree. That's some pretty cool information to learn about. And he's saying if S.H.I.E.L.D. doesn't go back, his father won't encounter the Resistance. And he brings up this odium stuff, going, well, you can drink this and die with honor and all that kind of stuff. So he has Ty brought to him and pretty much forces him to drink it and make him go. It's essentially Hulk out juice. Except the ramifications are that you keep going, you don't feel any pain, but your heart pretty much explodes. It's a one-way berserker kind of ticket. I'm like, okay, I got that. Alright. So, of course, he sends him off, and they're going, they use their weaponry to take out the Kree guards, and they have saved the Inhumans, and we learned that there was another Inhuman as well that was brought back. So, of course, Yo-Yo decides to go off and try and help that. But while they had saved the one group of Inhumans, that leads to Ty popping up and fighting Coulson and Daisy. And he's doing a pretty good deal. I mean, he still has some portion of him left, but he's just kind of crazy at the moment. And he slashes Coulson, and this is going to be important later on. But he also slashes Daisy. We'll get to that in a minute. But, of course, they take him out by pretty much taking out the heart kind of zombie protocol kind of thing, except you stop the heart from pumping the odium, so they can't do the rest of it. So they're trying to figure out what to do. They got Tess taking the rest of the Inhumans out and getting ready to pack them in the trawler and take them down to lower levels and get everybody out of the lighthouse while they use Flint to pretty much reform the monolith. Gemma does a good kind of Yoda Jedi Master lesson to teach him how to use his powers. And goes, okay, we got limestone, so what do they got to do? They have Flint out in a kind of Iron Man kind of scene with the helmet and uses all these rocks to blast open this door, come on in, and suck out all the rest of the Kree while they create the monolith again. Which was a pretty cool scene, seeing him figure out how to use his powers like this and growing and learning. Mac, of course, expressing his unease for having the kid killing, but, of course, you learn that life isn't always safe. You have to make sure that you balance someone being able to defend themselves and know when to take out a problem versus becoming a bloodlust creature just going out and killing randomly, which I think they're doing a good job of doing that with Flint. And as this is going on and we're getting everybody pretty much back to their basics, we see that Enoch is in trouble because the Kree are trying to get in, so Deke decides to go and help defend him. Daisy's trying to get her way back there, but Coulson ices her and brings her to the monolith room where they're building that up. And we find out that Yo-Yo finds the Inhuman, and it is her future self, who doesn't have the arms, and they've been killing her and bringing her back, and she has been Cassius' seer. And that's saying that, this is a loop that they keep doing, and she's trying to figure out what to say to Yo-Yo to fix it. Saying that she sees Mac die and all this kind of stuff, and just saying how it's still a loop. I'm like, okay. So what they're doing doesn't even really matter. And saying that, well, the biggest problem is that Coulson is infected with something. I didn't know if it was odium or what, if it was something on Ty's blade, but it doesn't make any sense because I thought Daisy was scratched by it as well, and why wouldn't she be infected as well? Because we see the effect going on Coulson, and that's why he had iced Daisy, because he needs her to lead S.H.I.E.L.D. when he's gone. I understand what they're trying to do with this, what they've been leading it towards. It just seems like the execution of taking out Phil Coulson on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. should have been done in a better kind of way, because it just seems like, he just got infected with a random thing, and he's going to die? Okay. And evidently that leads to one of the biggest dust-ups of why the world gets taken out, because they spend more time trying to save Coulson. And future Yo-Yo is trying to tell our Yo-Yo not to do that kind of stuff. And she goes, well, figure it out pretty much, and goes off. And the Kree come and get future Yo-Yo. Mac is trying to find Yo-Yo, and we get back to the pit, and Cassius kills Yo-Yo and drinks the odium, and that's pretty much it. He turns into a Hulk monster as we get a pretty good fight between him and Mac. Though I have a little bit of a problem with it, in that Mac gets a little bit more trouble than I would think he would be getting. Because any warrior Kree that's trained to be a warrior, I would understand being able to really wipe the floor with Mac and really give him some trouble if they're opt up on odium, but Cassius doesn't seem to have really that much combat training whatsoever. So, granted, I understand his strength would be augmented, maybe comparable to a regular warrior Kree, but not to give Mac as much trouble as he's been getting. Granted, you could say that he just seen the death of the woman he loves, and that would be affecting him, but it was just, okay. But we get a pretty good fight scene, and, of course, Simmons comes in to kind of help, and we get the shotgun axe used. He stabs him through the chest with it, but I would have rather seen Mac cut his head off, since he referenced cutting heads off with the shotgun axe, but it was kind of cool. He goes back and he sees that Yo-Yo's alive, and they're trying to get ready with the monolith going on, but of course they're getting problems in the Zephyr because Enoch got hurt, and so did the equipment, so they've essentially hooked Enoch up to power the machine, but they've only got one shot at it because Enoch's pretty much going to blow up, and so's Deke. So it gets kind of an intense run with that. And of course, they're able to, towards the end of the episode, this is where we end on the cliffhanger. They're able to do the resonant. Flint and Tess are out in the trawler, and of course, since everything doesn't completely wipe out, we know that the loop is still in effect. Well, it doesn't have to completely wipe out, but since we don't see a divergence of a splitting or whatnot with the future, we know that this future is still in play within our current timeline. And them talking about what to do and saying, hey, here's your blueprint, showing you, yeah, Flint could, in all technicality, attempt to reform the Earth with his geokinesis powers. And we see the preview that everybody pretty much made it back. There were some iffy moments because Mac and the rest of them were trying to get back in enough time for when the monolith activated. And that's pretty much it. I thought that there would have been a better end to Cassius and that they would set up a better end to Coulson's character in this show. Now, granted, it still will give him an air of heroism and optimism to use his life to save the Earth, but I kind of would have wanted a better story or whatnot. And I want to have more information upon Cassius' father and everything, since there could be hints and teases. And I wanted a better ending for Cassius than essentially just drinking something and kind of hulking out as a last-ditch effort to stop them and could secure his own future. It's not what happened of Cassius dying. I just wanted a better execution for what I thought was a pretty good villain, especially when they were building up what he was going through in his plans and machinations, almost kind of Game of Thrones style in the beginning, and his eventual insanity at the death of Sonara. I just thought they could do something better with it. But I thought that we would wrap up this arc, since they had effectively done arcs the last season, and I didn't expect this one to pretty much continue on, potentially being even the whole season, because I just kind of want the time travel stuff to be over. That's just kind of me. I think that it hasn't been as executed as well as it should have been, and other stuff should be going on. So we'll have to see what happens after the break, and hopefully it kind of gets back on track and gets a little bit better. We get some cool kind of interactions and see some cool kinds of different stuff going on, seeing how they can change the future and whatnot. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.